I'm kicking off my Star Wars Black Series review series with the Death Watch Mandalorian. This is not the first figure that I bought, but it's the first one that I got in the mail and the first one that I opened, and it is an awesome figure. Just to be clear, as many of you may know from the Star Wars Black Series line, Mandalorian figures are a very popular type of figure within that line, and there are a lot of them. This one I would say is pretty much the archetype of that particular figure type, and I thought this one would be a pretty good figure to kick off this review series, so let's get right into it. So the first thing I'll say straight off the bat is this is a nearly perfect action figure. The details on it are absolutely phenomenal. This one in particular can just hit all the right poses. It has a great action figure look to it, and it's just all around a fantastic figure. It comes with a lot of great details, like this targeting visor that can fold down. It has newer style shoulder pads, so you can get its arm way up at a 90-degree angle. There's just tons of great detail on it. I love the Death Watch markings on it. It has some nice weathering effects like these silver scrapes on it. It has this really cool holster on the side that does have a little pistol in it. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. You got a removable jetpack and a standard issue Mandalorian rifle. It's not just the action features that really bring this character home. I mean, you've got great sculpting on the boots and everything. On the clothes, there's a little bit of a cloth texture pattern here. Great sculpting on the Under Armour shirt, that kind of thing, and a beautifully detailed jetpack. One thing to note for the Mandalorian figures is there are some figures that have a removable helmet and a full head underneath it. This one does not. But the way it's designed is you do have a little bit of a jawline under there, so you've got a little bit of a hint of a real person underneath that helmet. Which does lend itself to a question. Why did Hasbro choose to release some Mandalorian figures without a removable helmet? My best guess is they wanted to go a little bit generic on some of these because they aren't specific characters. And maybe they also wanted to go a little bit cheap on some of these wherever they could. I don't know. A couple other things I'll note about details is there are some slight imperfections on this figure. So for example, there's this weird little burr right on the side of this guy's helmet. And if you come around to the backside, there's some minor trim and flashing issues on the jetpack. Overall, this figure really is well done, but for the discerning eye, you're probably going to find some pretty minor flaws. Another issue I'll note is this jetpack doesn't really hold in securely. It's really easy to remove and also easy to knock off if you happen to hit it with your hand or whatever. But ultimately, it does get the job done. But at any rate, let's take a look at how this thing can be posed in some action features. So we'll start by getting the rifle out of his hands. And just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to get his pistol out here. One thing that's pretty common with Star Wars Black Series figures is they have a trigger finger, and their hands are sculpted in a way that makes it pretty easy to secure weapons and that kind of thing. And in this case, he has it sculpted with a trigger built right into it. His hand fits right in there, and that's pretty darn cool. So you can definitely get some good gunslinger poses. It does have a full range of motion. There's a lot of wiggle there. You can turn left and right, up and down, tilt sideways, and that kind of thing. Arms have a very nice range of motion, and again, you have these kind of shoulder pads, so you can actually get the arm up and over like that. You got a pretty good range of waist rotation. You got a pretty good knee bend here. You can kick the knee and thigh up pretty high. And he's got some pretty good ankle tilt and rotation there, so yeah, you can get this guy in some very, very good poses. But I'm going to go ahead and holster his sidearm and get his rifle back in his hands. So what's nice with the rifle between the hands and the posability is it's basically set up so that you could do a two-handed pose with one on the trigger and the other on the barrel, that kind of thing. And with that range of motion, you can get this figure in kind of a drawn position and a sort of a locked and loaded position. And what did we all want when we were kids? Jetpacks. And man, I still want a jetpack, so yeah. One cool thing about these figures is because they do have such a great range of motion, you can absolutely get this thing in convincing flying poses, which is frickin' awesome. I mean, for any Star Wars enthusiast, this is absolutely fantastic. Even if the Death Watch Mandalorian wasn't something that was up your alley, there are so many different Mandalorian figures that for anybody who's interested in this type of figure, for Star Wars line or whatever, you're probably going to want to have at least one in your collection. But let's move on to a figure rating. Just real quick, I want to mention this is the first time I'm reviewing a Star Wars Black Series figure, and I do have a rating system worked out, but I haven't really worked out how I'm going to present it. So this one is going to be accurate to the way the rating system works, but the way I'm presenting it today isn't exactly the way this rating system is going to look in its final form. That's something I'm still working out, but I do want to get this series rolling, and I have something in mind for this figure, so we'll go ahead and get that going. As far as the rating system, it's going to be 5 categories for a score of anywhere between 0 and 5 points for each category, for a total score of 25 points. So we're rating against the details, the articulation, the accessories, the quality of the figure, and the character accuracy. So let's jump right in. The Death Watch Mandalorian is a very nicely detailed figure. I would say it's not absolutely perfect, but it's really good. I'll give it a 4 for details. This thing can absolutely be posed any way you need to pose it. I don't really think it's missing anything as far as that goes. Other than some really minor issues with the trigger finger and that kind of thing, I'll give that 4 for articulation. Coming with some great stuff, this is everything you need for a Mandalorian figure. You need a rifle, you need a sidearm, you need a jetpack. That's a 3. As far as character quality goes for a Star Wars Black Series figure, it's really good. I do have some minor little nitpicky blemishes and manufacturing flaws in mind, but other than that, really there's nothing to complain about for this figure, so I'll give that a 3. As far as Mandalorian figures go, this one is pretty darn spot on. I'll give that a 3, which brings the total score to 17 out of 25. So that's a quick look at the Death Watch Mandalorian. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please take a moment to leave a like or a comment or share this with a friend. That always helps the channel out. I'm definitely going to be bringing a lot more Star Wars Black Series figures out for review, and I look forward to talking with you more about it in the future. Enjoy yourself wherever you are, and I'll catch you in the next one.